Today I'm going to do the Little Less Lonely tag, which was created by Emma at Emma Reads. Before I start, I just want to say thank you so much to everyone who commented on my last video. All of your suggestions were really helpful, so you might hear a bit more about those books in the coming months. Anyway, on with the tag. The first one is a classic book that seemed to get you, and it's one where you really identified with a character on a deep level. Now, if I'd had to answer this a couple of years ago, I probably would have said Wuthering Heights by Emily Bronte. And I think that's because this is a book that really summed up my teenage angst. I used to think that this was the most romantic thing ever written. Now, with my great age and wisdom, I can see that the relationship between Heathcliff and Cathy is not really one to model romantic relationships on. So, Wuthering Heights. My answer for that question at the wise old age of 22 are the short stories of Catherine Mansfield. Now, this isn't all of her short stories, because I haven't read all of them, and they do all deal with different things. But something that Mansfield really explores in a lot of her stories are the threats that women face or faced back in the early 20th century, and I think a lot of that is still relevant today, and I really feel I can empathise with a lot of her characters. I'm sure I will do a full video on Mansfield at some point. The second question is a book that surprised you by how much it affected you. The first one is Kafka on the Shore by Haruki Murakami. This was my first Murakami and my favourite. I felt that I could empathise with the main character on a fundamental level. It may have just been because this was my first Murakami, but it might be because this character is quite a bit younger than many of Murakami's protagonists. The other one that I would put in this category was Women in Love by D.H. Lawrence. I had to read this for a class, and actually I have another copy of it that is kind of hideous and also very, very well annotated. This copy is my mum's, but I much prefer it. Anyway, this is a novel that deals with a lot of different types of love and different types of relationships, and ultimately these characters are searching for what sort of life they want to lead and with whom. So in that sense, this was quite a good one to read at about this point in my life. It was a few years ago, so I think I was 19 when I read this. Question 3 is a book that you read at the right time, and for me this was One Day. Now, this is not a brilliant piece of literature, and I can't say that I loved it all that much, but it was just kind of what I needed when I read it. I was in the process of reading The Luminaries when I picked this up. The Luminaries, even though it's brilliant and it's one of my favourite books, took me a very long time to read because I was working 3 jobs at the time. So this was something that I could pick up, not be confused about how many characters there were, and just zoom through it. The scope of this novel, I think, is what appealed to me at that time. It follows these characters' on-off relationship over many years. If I'd read this at any other time, I don't think I would have appreciated it. It's not one that I will read again. I think I'm actually going to get rid of this copy, but it was there at the right place at the right time. Next up is a book that inspires you, and for this I could have chosen from any of my art history books and graphic design books, but the one I chose is one that's inspiring me at the moment. And this is because I recently finished reading Lolita, and I have this book here, which is Lolita, the story of a cover girl, in this stunning lime green that is just reflecting onto my face and making me look like the Wicked Witch of the West. This is full of covers that have been used for the publication of Lolita over the years. I just think it's so fascinating to see all the different ways that it's been interpreted. Now, this one here is by Jessica Hische. And then there's this one, which I believe is in print at the moment. Typographic solutions, there are the more symbolic ones, and they're usually grouped with other ones that are similar. I find these fascinating because, as a designer, this is kind of the ultimate challenge. I mean, how do you represent on a cover a book that is about a paedophile? There are also a whole heap of essays in here, so I'm working my way through the reading in this as well as the covers. And I'm hoping to come up with some design ideas of my own that aren't already in this. And then the final question of the Little Less Lonely tag is a book that calms you. And this is actually the one that I struggled with the most. In the end, I went with anything by Haruki Murakami, because his books aren't very heavy on plot. They are beautifully written, have enough strange stuff going on that you're still interested, and usually there's quite a lot of philosophical musing in there as well. So it's something that I find quite relaxing and calming to listen to, and Murakami always takes you out of the real world around you. I'm also going to add a bonus question, and that is a book that makes you laugh. I chose 2 books. Weird Things Customers Say in Bookshops and More Weird Things That Customers Say in Bookshops by Jen Campbell. These never fail to make me giggle. These make me a little less lonely because when I read things in here, I want to share them with other people, and that makes me less lonely. So if you haven't read these already, go to your local independent bookshop and buy them because they will bring so much joy into your life. And that's that. That was the Little Less Lonely tag. Thank you, Emma, for tagging me and for creating the tag. I will tag some people, but I'll just leave that in the description, and I will tweet you as well if you're tagged. But as always, feel free to do this tag if you want to do it, and let Emma know, let me know. It's a fun sort of tag. So there we are. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll hopefully see you next time. Bye!